Hey guys, what's up? It's Sports Talk with Gio, and today we are going to cover the American League race. Who I think is going to take it, who I think is going to win it. Right. The American League East. I do apologize about that. The American League East race. I believe there are two teams, even though ESPN says there's three teams, Boston, Toronto, and Baltimore. I believe Boston is eliminated from that race. I don't think they're going to miss the playoffs. However, they're going to get that wild card spot, and that's what they need to focus on. They need to focus on keeping that wild card spot, not worrying about the division lead. Those two people have to be the O's and Toronto. Because even though they're not the top of the AL, I'm sorry. Even though they're not at the top of the AL, I believe those are the two best teams in the American League, Toronto and Baltimore. Now, do I think they have what it takes to win the World Series? I will get to later, but right now I'm going to break down these teams, and I'm going to point out their leaders and whether those leaders are capable of carrying them to a World Series. First, I'm going to get to Toronto. Toronto is the reigning MVP, Josh Donaldson, who is having another amazing year and certainly should be considered for another MVP. He definitely is a man who can carry them and needs to step up if he is going to carry them not only to win the AL East but to go to the World Series. Edwin Encarnacion is currently second in home runs, and he is a man that is also going to have to step up and can step up to carry them to get to the World Series. Troy Tulowitzki, he is more of a leader on that team than anything else. He is not make or break. Even though he has the potential to be make or break, he needs to be there as a supporting cast. He needs to be there to stabilize everything, and he needs to be the consistent player. Not the guy that needs to get hot, but the guy that needs to not be cold. If you know what I mean by that. Jose Bautista. He's not make or break. He's good, and he's a very elite slugger. He's not the old Jose Bautista, though. What teams need to do, they need to pitch inside to him. It's very easy. Everyone knows how to shut him down. He's still very hard to shut down, but there's a game plan. That's the game plan for him right there. You got to pitch inside. Because anything that hits the center of that plate is gone. Right there, settled, done, it's gone. That's the kind of hitter he is. When he makes contact, it is gone. But he is not a guy that is going to make or break their run to the World Series or the American League East. They're pitching. Aaron Sanchez, he is going to be make or break. I believe everyone's pitching. Their top three people, actually their top two people are make and break. Their top three people, the third guy is the team that it's going to be, the guy that it's going to be to have to just keep him in there. Keep in the bullpen. I believe the first two, which I do believe are J.A. Happ and Aaron Sanchez, those are guys that are going to have to shut it down so that Penn can come in strong and already have that lead to work with against anyone. And then time to move on to the O's. The O's leaders. I did the top four for the Toronto, so I'll do the top four for Baltimore. 1, Adam Jones. Adam Jones is the leader on this team, and he's one of those people that just can't go cold. That just needs to not stay cold. He needs to stay consistent and keep everyone in check. Manny Machado is the guy that's going to have to get hot to carry this team, because when Manny Machado is hot, the rest of the team is hot, and he is the current American League ESPN favorite to win the Cy Young. Having a great season and is already the right-in for the Gold Glove. Mark Trumbo. He is going to be the guy that has to get hot, because there is no hot or warm. There's no consistent for Mark Trumbo. He's hot and he hits home runs, and that's what he needs to do. He is going to be a make-or-break player, just like Manny Machado. He's going to have to stay hot, and he's going to have to drive the ball out of the ballpark. Now, there are two people here that are kind of in the same role. Jonathan Scope and Chris Davis. Chris Davis is the reigning home run champion, and he's a guy that's going to have to get hot, but he's not make or break because of the depth and the power situation. Jonathan Scope, this is who we're going to cover here. He is make or break. He is a guy that has to stay consistent and has to get hot. When Jonathan Scope is cold, this whole team is cold. Same as Manny Machado. These two guys, when they're clicking, no one can really pitch to them. And that is another guy that is going to be make or break in having to get to this World Series because they all rally around the second baseman. They rely on him a lot. Pitching. Chris Davis, I'm sorry. Yeah, he's undefeated in pitching, but hey. Chris Tillman is a Cy Young contender, and I do believe he is a guy that is going to be make or break. He is going to have to come in. He is going to have to set the premise of getting them to the bullpen, of shutting them down, bullpen come in, 2-3 run lead. Dylan Bundy is a guy that I do believe is going to be make or break. He's in my eyes, a rookie. He only had 2 starts in 2012 and never came back up. But therefore, he's not qualified to win Rookie of the Year. But he has a 3.00 GPA. Oh yeah, I wish. ERA right now, and it is very good, especially for a guy that has only been around his first full year, and he wasn't even supposed to be a starter. I do apologize about that. He wasn't even supposed to be a starter. He comes in, gives up 4 runs his first start. You think he's going to be kind of bumpy, and then he gives a no-hitter through 5, a no-hitter through 6.2, and then a 1-runner, and then a 2-runner, and now he just pitched a 1-runner against San Francisco again. He is a guy that is going to be make or break and has to get to the bullpen. Kevin Gausman now. He is a guy that has to get you to the pen. He's one of those people that has to get you to the pen. Just like Toronto, the third guy can shut you down, but his main goal is just to get you to the pen, especially with the O's, who arguably had the best bullpen in MLB. They have 3 All-Stars in there. Zach Britton is a 2-time All-Star. Brad Brock made the All-Star this year, and Darren O'Day was hurt this year. He's coming back in 15 days, and he was an All-Star last year. He's another guy. That bullpen is going to be make or break, because if that bullpen isn't there, they do not have the starting rotation to be able to get them to a World Series. I do believe that let me make this clear. Whoever goes into a slump first, this is what I'm going to do. Whoever goes into a slump first is going to be the team who doesn't win the AL East, but they win the playoffs. Because I believe they're going to come out of their slump in the playoffs. As long as they can get to the playoffs, they're going to get the World Series. And they might not win it, because I don't know who's in the World Series yet. I'm not going to make that prediction yet. But I believe that unless it's like a long slump, if it's a short slump and they lose it in like the last week or something like that, I believe they'll go farther than the winner of the AL East. And that's simply because you never want to go very weird, but if you never want to be like hot for 2 months going into the playoffs, because then there's a slump waiting to happen right there. A slump just waiting to happen. Nobody wants to hit a slump in the MLB playoff time, or NFL, or NHL, or NBA. You never want to be in a slump when it comes to the playoffs. But I believe whoever is in second place in the AL East is going to the World Series, and I believe whoever wins the AL East the AL East, one of the 3 teams in the AL East is going to the World Series. It's that simple. One of those 3 teams are going to the World Series. Boston, Toronto, Baltimore. I don't believe Boston's going to go to the World Series, though. I believe they're going to get knocked out by the Rangers or something like that. But I do believe it's going to be Toronto or Baltimore in the World Series, which would be very nice to see. One of the teams from the AL East in there. And I do believe it's going to be against San Francisco or Chicago. Now, debating, I believe the Orioles take it if it's San Francisco. I believe the Blue Jays don't take it if it's San Francisco. I believe the Blue Jays take it if it's the Cubs, and I believe the Orioles don't take it if it's the Cubs. Those matchups is what I see. Orioles don't do very well against young talent. Blue Jays do. San Francisco, even though they have a lot of young talent, most of those guys are veterans over there. Chicago doesn't really have a lot of veterans. They have young guys. And the Orioles need to see you in order to beat you, and we've seen most of the people in San Francisco. But alright, those are my choices. Thank you guys for watching this video. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Peace.